Are you in fashion?
In fashion.
Did you see what she's wearing? The top shoes.
I'm Sonia Sly. My heels are killing me.
But I was told I have a backstage pass.
You will need to get the right pass to get behind me.
Look, I need to go.
Code red. We have a situation.
I'm taking you inside the fashion industry to discuss trends, the reality behind the glamour, and the highs and lows of a fast-paced industry that never stops.
It's a bit of a windy, grey Saturday morning, and I'm heading up to see Wynn Crawshaw, the designer behind Wynn Hamlyn, who was the toast of New Zealand Fashion Week this year. How does it feel to know that people love your work?
It feels great. The lead up to the show was just intense. People love the collection, and it just feels great that the work that we put in has kind of paid off and people realise the concept of the collection and like it, really.
Why women's wear?
I think that women's wear has just got a lovely narrative to it. The sort of aesthetic of femininity and the sort of elegance that you can create within women's wear is something that I like. It's something that I'm interested in. It's kind of like being interested in soccer or basketball.
In what way?
Oh, they're just two different things, and I'm interested in the women's wear side of clothing.
Tell me about the carpet coats that you
Yeah,
showed,
yeah,
because
sure.
they're quite heavy, aren't they?
Yeah, they're very heavy. They're made of Axminster carpet, which is old carpet made in New Zealand. That was kind of the basis of the collection inspiration, just because of the beautiful nature of how it's woven. And so we decided to make the coats for the collection because it would be nice to have a touch of the literal first inspiration on the runway.
And you've got a collection of carpet bags as well that match. Will you actually be selling any of those pieces, or are they really just for show?
The coats are definitely just for show. They're completely unwearable in everyday life, but the carpet bags were just for the collection, but they're actually really practical, nice little bags, so I think that we'll probably end up producing some.
Cool. How did the models go wearing the carpet coats?
Good. I say they're unwearable, but they're you can put them on easily enough and walk around and have a cup of tea. It's just that they're very heavy and very solid, so they're not uncomfortable by any means.
How long did they take to make?
I never keep track of things like that, but a long time. Kerry, a guy who helps me, spent a long time hand sewing in the sleeves and things like that. And even just cutting them was quite a mission.
Gosh, I can imagine, because they're really, really thick, aren't they? So, I mean, you would have needed a big needle to pierce through that.
Yeah. I think a lot of big needles, quite a few snap and bloody fingers and things like that.
Are you where you would like to be at in your career? You showed for the third time at New Zealand Fashion Week?
Second time. Yeah, absolutely. Sort of gets to a point where you're just happy to be making your clothes and collections and living from it, and if you have the opportunity to do that through sales and things like that, then that's basically the goal, and anything else that arises as extra is a bonus.
So you mentioned that you actually live downstairs. That's super handy, because I imagine that as a designer, and especially as you're preparing for a big event and to show your collection to buyers and stuff, that you'll run off your feet and you're really tired, and you're probably constantly working?
Pretty much. It's quite interesting, the whole live-work situation. It's quite nice. I mean, the grass is always greener, so when I used to live far away from the studio, I used to complain about driving there all the time, and now it's the opposite side of the coin, so I like it.
I guess I want to get a feel for what your how do you actually work?
I'm not sure. I've only realised recently that I am a clean freak and I have to tidy the studio every day before I can start doing anything.
Otherwise you're kind of tense and you can't just get your head in a clear space?
Yeah, that's right. I guess that's one thing, but otherwise I just kind of muddle around in the studio, do some little drawings and go from there.
when I look at your work, and even looking at it here in front of me, you're quite a technical designer, and I actually wonder, like, is there a process of kind of like almost engineering in terms of your construction or even mathematics? Because I mean, you're playing with knitwear in a really, it's quite complex, the design, and you're probably one of the most clever New Zealand designers who can do unexpected things with wool as well.
I think that potentially my background in construction and things like that inform me a little bit, but I also work with a knitwear factory in New Zealand that have a really talented team that just kind of take visions and just make them happen no matter what it takes. And we kind of work together and talk about things, and then they get upset and they don't want to do it because they don't want to produce things that aren't like completely sound engineering wise, and then I get upset and it's all perfect, you know.
Oh, so there is that process of kind of trying to negotiate what you envisage for the design, and sometimes it not technically working.
Yeah, they're as passionate as I am, so we're all very intense about the whole situation, and in a good way. I mean, I'm not talking about being upset like we're upset with each other. It's like
It's always about the work.
Yeah, it's kind of pushing up against the barrier, and generally we can break through and produce garments that might not be expected.
So you're a perfectionist, aren't you?
I'd like to be more of a perfectionist. Ultimately, the beauty in garments is the finishing, so I'd like to perfect the art of finishing more. But yeah, ultimately, I think that perfection is definitely an element of what I'm trying to do.
When you say construction, a background in construction, what do you specifically mean?
I used to work as a land surveyor, but in the construction industry, so in the contracting world, and so like building buildings and earth moving and things like that.
Wow, that's so different. So when did you decide that fashion was something that you wanted to pursue? Because obviously they're very different.
I got interested in fashion when I was at university studying to be a surveyor. So I took fashion papers as my general education papers, and enjoyed it, and realised that I needed to leave university and go and play out my surveying career for as long as I kind of needed to, and then did that, and now I'm happy to be back at fashion.
And just lastly, obviously this is a business for you. Being in the fashion industry, what have been the highs, what have been the lows?
The highs and the lows are very much related in the sense that we're climbing a bit of a mountain in terms of, when you leave your job and you jump off the edge of the cliff into trying to start your own business. The joys and the challenge and also the lows are in that challenge too. So of course you're trying to make a living, and sometimes that's hard, and the joys are in when it starts to pay off and your work comes to fruition and you get to show at Fashion Week and people appreciate your work. I guess they're the same beast, really.
That was Auckland-based Wynn Crawshaw, the designer behind womenswear label Wynn Hamlyn. You've been listening to My Heels Are Killing Me. I'm Sonia Sly. To find out more or to listen again, head to our podcast page on the rnz.co.nz website.